Welcome back to the NAO show. We got a fantastic show for you this week. We had Rate My League do a podcast for the NAO, and we're going to break down what they had to tell us. It's going to be a two-part series. This is going to be the first part this week, second part next week. Sorry, Evan, you got to wait a whole nother week to find out you fucking suck. Oh, wait, but you don't. All right. As you can see, we don't have Tank Top Mike here. He is traveling down to the Lone Star state of Texas. And we got that other. Yeah, and we got Marky Mark. Marky Mark's here. Marky Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Hope that other guy is.
I'm doing all right. Yeah, it's good to be back.
No one fucking asked. All right, let's go to the trade.
All right, yeah. We got one trade to talk about before we do the Rate My League. And thanks to Evan for doing that. It was a pretty awesome podcast. I know I enjoyed it.
Hope
it's got to be freaking a horrible job.
Gotta be sad when you have to pay $40 to be told you're the second best team in the league.
Well, it was pretty cool, man. I'm glad he did it. Well, maybe we'll all pitch in for it next year. I think it'll be a thing in the league now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about a trade. We have a trade between Humpty and what are we calling these guys, man? Docking. What was the docking one? I kind of like that one.
The docking duo.
Docking duo.
The overcompensators.
Yeah, overcompensators. Yeah. Overdoses. I was thinking about that today. I don't know, man. They got to come up with a new name. Anyway.
Their name is garbage. It's just straight garbage.
Yeah. They made a trade. Those guys with a bad name made a trade with Humpty. So Humpty received DJ Moore, Jonnu Smith, and Javian Hawkins. And the Overdogs received CD Lamb, Marquez Callaway, and a 2020 second third rounder. Ian, I'm going to let you start us off as our guest. What do you think about that?
Ooh! All right, go
ahead. Who was the third rounder from? Do we know?
Oh, that was Sean's. That was Sean's.
Oh, so it's going to be an early one then, probably.
Probably pretty early. Yep. I can translate that for you later.
For me, I like it for Ricky. I don't really get the move from the douche duo or the docking duo as much. I mean, I guess they do have pits, so tight end is a position that they're not that worried about. But I like Jonnu Smith in New England this year. DJ Moore is a piece that I've been high on, the last 2 years and going into this year as well. I'm not sure about Javian Hawkins exactly. Not really know much about him. So he's probably a flyer, but we know that Atlanta don't really have much behind Mike Davis, and Mike Davis is 28 years old and he's never really led a backfield in his career. So we'll see how he does doing that. But I mean, I like CD Lamb, but he's a number 2 receiver, and in a team that has a top back as well. So I just think it was a move they didn't have to make. I don't think it's a bad trade per se. Long term, CD Lamb's probably a good piece, but yeah, I mean, I think Ricky wins it a little bit.
What do you think, Sean?
I think you're kind of on the point there, Ian, but I'm gonna disagree a little bit. I think this is a good point. This is a good move for the docking duo there, the penis touching brothers, because they didn't give up a whole lot per se from their DJ Moore. I'm right there with you. I think DJ Moore is going to be real good. I think he actually makes a step this year. But CD Lamb has pretty darn good upside. And when Amari starts to taper off, Lamb is going to be the one. And even though he's the 2 per se, he could still do 1,000 yards on a heavy run team. Just look at Justin Jefferson and now Thielen. They both did 1,000 yards receiving. And we all know Dak is going to come out after this injury and start freaking slinging that ball all the way down the field. So Lamb is faster than Amari, I think. But I think
I don't know about that, but I get your point.
I think what they gave up is good value, but for them, it wasn't value at all, because the fact that they were going to start Jonnu Smith, they were probably never going to start him unless everything fell off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then they got a great upside in Lamb that they don't even need to start right away. So I think it was a good move for them.
Well, I did a little something different this time. I went like a good reporter, and I asked the guys if they wanted to give me any inside information on the trades, and they both were willing to give me a little bit, which is pretty cool. So for the overdogs, and I talked to Evan. I didn't talk to Brandon, but Evan told me that they wanted that CD Dak stack, which I didn't even think about.
Yeah,
and I think that's probably not a bad idea. I do like I like DJ Moore. I don't know. I look at these two receivers as kind of the same guy. I think DJ is going to play in the slot more, and I think that's his natural position.
Mm-hmm.
CD was like about 94% in the slot or something crazy like that last year. So I think they'll both be volume guys with some good run after the catch ability. So I think it was kind of tit for tat on that. Because my first question to Ricky was, why do you trade for DJ Moore when you traded him away to them? Did you have sellers remorse or whatever? But he kind of said the same thing. He values him about the same. He's really high on Jonnu. So I think that was part of the price for him. And he said that he thought Hawkins had promise. What I know about Hawkins is he's small. He's 5'9", 183. He's a good skill guy. He's got some good metrics that translate to production and success in the NFL, but he's really small. So I don't think he's ever going to be a workhorse guy. But you're exactly right there, Ian, that, I got Mike Davis. I'm not counting on Mike Davis being there in week 12, week 13. I'm hoping to get half a season out of him before he starts to wear down. And it's anybody's backfield. And I think Hawkins has as good a chance as anybody to get some time there. So I think it was a fair trade by the numbers. I think it was good for both of them. I wouldn't really declare a winner here. I think they both got some good pieces out of it, and didn't hurt, didn't help any more one more than the other. I don't think.
For me, the difference is probably the Jonnu Smith, because I think you'll see him play a lot in the slot. Then I think we'll go to a lot of 12 personnel with Hunter Henry blocking and Jonnu out the slot since we lost Edelman.
Yeah.
And so I think at a position of need for most people in the league, that's the difference for me. That's why I lean to Ricky in this trade. But I do think I don't think it's too much, but I think it's worth the roll of the dice.
Yeah.
And like you say, DJ and CD is a 50-50. So
yeah,
I think that's a really good point, because I think Noah Fant makes a step forward this year, and I think he's going to be the best improved tight end this year. But adding Jonnu Smith to the team will be able to get him to that point, really kind of take away that risk factor, because he's going to be a good player to start. Because if you don't have one of the top 4 tight ends or top 2 tight ends this year, you're not going to have a tight end really worth anything,
Yeah. We didn't mention Callaway much. I think he's a good flyer to take. And Evan told me that he asked Ricky, who you thinking about dropping since you're going to be picking up extra players, and he said Callaway, and he's like, well, I'll take Callaway off your hands. So I thought that was pretty cool, because why not get somebody back, take a little flyer on somebody? And he's not a bad guy to take a flyer on. He was with that horrible Tennessee Volunteers. Another one of these guys that you don't really know what he has, because he was on such a horrible team. So
Ian, do you even worry about the Volunteer Tennessee?
Well, it's just like they volunteer up wins. It's like they're like the what is it called, the stars thing, when they're kids have like cancer or whatever and make a wish. Make a wish.
That's what I was thinking.
Kind of like playing Central Louisiana State, one of those gimme games early in the year, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a
never Florida worry. And LSU will come play you to fill your stands for you. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, gents, let's move on to the Rate My League stuff. So we're going to play a little Guess the Roster. I'm going to give you quotes that came off of the podcast. You guys try to guess which roster we're talking about. All right, our first quote. With 2 2022 first rounders, you have to think they'll address the RB position. unless by next year they're in full rebuild mode. And if you take a look at this roster, that's possible.
Ooh, I know it is.
Ooh, it's a tough
Go
one.
ahead and speak up. Who do you
Tank
think it
Top
is?
Mike.
That's it. Tank Top Mike.
Bam!
So
What
the
up
first-
on it, Ian? Suck it.
The first roster we're going to talk about is Tank Top Mike. So, yeah, another quote said, I feel like we look at this team next year and say like, wow, it's totally different team and situation. And they also said they have some interesting decisions to make. So they liked a lot of his players, but they were kind of on the fence on his success this year or if he's going to be in rebuild. So
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about it, Ian.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. Obviously, if you look at the way they ranked his positions, they have him as number one at the quarterback position because of Patrick Mahomes. We know that. And then he's really running back, middle of the field, but then way down there and a receiver and tight end. So yeah, I think he does have some decisions to make, but I think it's a decent foundation with some good capital going forward, where he can make some moves. And it's just how does he decide to make that move? Does he move early or does he wait? And then maybe he gets a couple bargains down later in the season. Who knows? Guys who maybe have like gone, all right, I'm out of it this year, and they start to unload some pieces, and he has some capital there to shift. So I kind of like some of the moves he's made this offseason.
I love the Swift pickup. I think he needed the extra run help. I don't think Melvin Gordon was going to really help him all that much. I think if Swift stays healthy and gets the production that everyone is thinking, I think everybody in the league is kind of like Swift has the potential to be really good, but we don't know what he's actually going to have carry wise or target wise. So it kind of gives you like that feeling.
Anthony Lynn. That's his biggest hurdle is Anthony Lynn.
Right.
That's
Likes
his
to use
biggest hurdle.
committee and yeah. He likes to ride the hot hand. I guess that's more than a committee. It's the hot hand guy, right?
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I was okay moving him over even Edmonds, because I like the the Arizona offense as far as their potential over the Detroit offense this year, especially the running back position.
And Dylan, if you're listening, Edmonds is on the trade block. He'll trade him to you for everything you have. Shameless plug for your guy that you're trying to move. Got it.
I'm not trying to move Edmonds.
Okay. All right.
Anyways,
we can think that's a thing.
Yeah, I like the moves that Mike made too. We did the ranking show a little while back, and he was down around number 8, and he tried to get back into the draft, and he just couldn't make a trade. And then he's looking at the ranking show like, damn, I'm down there at the bottom. And then he just got busy, and he made 4 trades or so. And by the time it was done, it was a net gain, I thought. And I think he positioned himself. You can see it being at number 5 in the league. He jumped from 8 to 5, and he's going to be able to compete. And he is sitting in a good spot where with 2 first rounders, if he needs that extra piece, like you said, Ian, he trades those first rounders and he gets guys that can play now and maybe take them into the playoffs. If it's, if he's going off the rails, maybe he trades guys away for more draft capital, and he does a retool with plenty of draft capital. So he positioned himself well. I really like what he's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
All right, you guys want to move on to the next one? Try to guess the team.
Let's do it.
It's 1-0 for Sean right now. If anybody's keeping score at home,
I'm keeping score.
Yeah, Sean is. He needs a W somewhere.
Besides in life, period.
All right, well, let's go on to the next team. So the quote for this team was, "They're not devoid of future draft capital, and in the meantime, they're ready to go. They're ready to roll this season. They have to be considered one of the favorites."
Goofy Jays.
No.
Damn.
Got a guess, Sean? I'll give you the next.
Is it running back?
No. I'll give you the next quote. "This is one of the strongest wide receiver groups we've looked at."
The shit dogs.
The Docking brothers.
Yes, you're both right.
Ian, I'll give it to you.
But I think Ian buzzed in first. So
Lame.
they had good things to say about him. There was one more quote I wrote down for these guys. One of the guys there, I think it was Derek, said Michael Thomas is one of the guys I have on my highly concerned list. So they gave him good marks on the receivers, but he was highly concerned over Michael Thomas. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
But they do definitely have some other guys that can compensate. Ian, what do you want to start us off with the over?
Yeah. Over. Oh, just
I'm
over.
over it.
Let's just
I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm
over it.
just
We're
over
over
it.
Yeah, I
That's
think
a better name for you.
begrudgingly they do have a pretty well-rounded roster, which at the end of last season they didn't have. I think I mentioned in the chat earlier they never finished higher than seventh in the rankings all season last year, and it was beautiful to watch. But they definitely ramped it up late in the year, and they've made a lot of moves. Some of them while half the team was unconscious, so I don't know if those are legal or not. That's up for the jurisdiction to decide.
Mish?
But yeah, they're ranked 4 for quarterback, 2 for running back, 1 for receiver, and then 4 for tight end. So it's a nice spread there as far as staying at the top half, which is kind of what you want, and that suggests that you have decent depth there, and I think we would agree that they do have some good depth.
Yeah, that's pretty solid rankings there.
But I think we should maybe know. I don't know if we touched on it yet, but as far as or if we're going to touch on that later, but the rankings for the single position picks, they tend to focus most on the starter, not the full depth of the position. I think we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. But
okay.
Yeah, I like their wide receiver core. AJ Brown, obviously a solid piece. But I actually agreed a lot with them with Michael Thomas. And I actually think they listened to the podcast. And then when Lamb came onto the block, they jumped on Lamb. And it was like, oh, these are some professionals actually saying that Michael Thomas might not be that great. And if we're going to be banking on them, because obviously they're trying to win this year, you know what I mean? So adding Lamb is a pretty good addition to it. And then freaking the FNG just gives away A-Rod to him. Still salty about that.
But you got a first rounder out of it, man. I mean, can't say you gave it away. You got a first
I didn't hate that trade for FNG.
No, I didn't either.
Okay, let me get into this.
Somebody else was trying to get A-Rob, so I think somebody else is a little bit bitter.
Why?
Oh, gotcha. Now it makes sense.
All right.
Now you get it. The rest of the story.
When we're doing trades, can we take into consideration that you have to freaking play this guy? Like, you got to play him. Best case scenario, you win all your games, and then you get to the championship and you have to play the guy that you gave him away to, and he beats you because you just gave him away one of your better players. I'm just saying. Take a second when you're doing the trades, look at who you're giving it to, and see how good they're going to be with that guy. We're not fucking idiots, but some of these trades are freaking making us look like fucking idiots. All right. All right. Soapbox. I'm jumping off.
Real quick before Mark, I would say one thing about their receiver core is there's a lot of question marks around all of them. A lot of quarterback changes. Obviously, AJ Brown just got Julio added. So, I mean, they're all very, very good in their own right. But I just mean, like, for me, there's some question marks. But I mean, every single one.
I can agree with the question mark in New Orleans. Definitely agree there. I don't think there's any disagreement that Dak is going to be throwing to Lamb and that Lamb is going to be wide receiver 1B.
Yeah, he's probably the only one. But the rest, I think, have questions. What do you think?
Who the hell are they else going to throw to in Chicago besides Aaron?
I would just say, I mean, they have good guys that have question marks about. They're all really good receivers and could overcome some things. So
yeah,
I mean, I brought up Michael Thomas and included that quote because they paid a good price for him, and you know, I would imagine they're not oblivious. They know that that they might get old Michael Thomas, or they might get declining Michael Thomas, and maybe Taysom Hill and not doing as well with him. I know that they got to be thinking about these things, and I think that's why they try to do, move like CD and get some of these other guys like they have, so that guys like Beckham and Thomas can maybe be their luxury guys that if they hit, they're going to be killing it. If they don't, they've still got. I think Robinson, CD, AJ Brown, those are guys that are going to get some volume and they're going to do okay for them. So I think they're looking at these other guys like, if they hit, we're going to be killing it. We're going to be scoring 160 points a game.
Well, Rate My League gave them a team score of 7.82, which is second overall. I forgot to add in that Mike got a team score of 5.44 out of 10. So, and that puts him right around the middle, upper middle.
Five overall. Yep.
I think you made a great point, Mark. I really think that they're just buying their time until Pitts starts getting the targets, and Pitts is going to be taking over that one of those flex spots.
Yeah, they've got a lot of people they can move in and out of there, I think. So
no one wants to see the ring, Ian. Stop.
They're gonna be tough. They're gonna be tough this year. All right, let's move on to our next one. So
all right, it's 1-1.
I doubt you guys are gonna get this one. It might take you 3 quotes, but all right. The quote is, "We like this team over consensus more than any team in the league."
Got it.
Well,
it is.
The floor is yours.
It's running back, I think.
Nope. It's
Second.
FNG.
It's who?
FNG.
Yeah, how'd you get that, man? That one was
I watched it twice too, bro.
You watched it twice too. So you were as surprised as I was that they said that about FNG. Yeah. So another quote. We need to applaud the fact that this team has 4 2022 first rounders and 2 2022 second rounders. So they really liked his draft capital. The only reason he wasn't in 10th place, last place in the league, was because he had better draft capital than everybody. And I got one more quote from them. The good news is this team has some options. The fact that they have the number 1 draft capital means they don't have to be in a hurry to move guys. So they were talking about kind of what they could do to compete this year, or is it total rebuild? And so talk about FNG a little bit there, Ian.
Yeah. So kind of goes to what I just touched on in the last team there. So they obviously have Kelsey. So they're number 1 ranked at the tight end position, which again, I think we decided is because it's a one player position that they favor the starter highly, even when they bring in the depth consideration.
Yeah.
However, Strugglesville at running back and wide receiver.
Oh yeah.
Where they are propping up the league there a little bit, and then they're kind of in the middle of the pack there for quarterback. But again, we kind of goes back to that one position piece, because I'm trying to think who they have at quarterback.
Yeah.
Jackson.
Oh yeah, so I mean I think that's kind of a little bit harsh, because I mean they're 7, but I mean Lamar Jackson can be a league winner. So
I think he drafted Zach Wilson, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. And
I can't remember who his number 2 is, but
yeah. Oh yeah, because that's right. I traded him Goff. So I think they have a nice FNG has a nice quarterback room as far as like overall. And like they say, good draft capital where he can really address those. I think that from what I'm hearing, the running back class coming into this next year is supposed to be quite good. So they can really address that position, and then they have enough picks that if they want to move for a receiver, they can move for a receiver. Maybe a guy that's emerged this year that was maybe cheaper. They can maybe give away a couple picks. Trying to think of some guys, but because there was a lot of good young guys coming out, like Bateman, for example. Whereas I think they have an opportunity to rebuild, like they were saying. They're not a terrible spot.
Well, now that Ian took all the talking points for the team, let's talk about this rebuild. Do you think if he drafts perfectly, all right, with all this draft capital that pushed him up in the ranks, so one spot away from dead last where he's going to end up.
He probably will.
You think he's 2 years or 3 years out from being very competitive?
It depends perfectly.
It depends on how he does it, I think, because if I'm him, I'm still trying to move Thielen and Kelsey to needy teams that are still in the playoff hunt.
Yep.
If I was going to trade him now, I'd be trying to get a premium. If no one wants to give a premium, they will when they're a little more desperate to try to stay in the playoffs. I would keep Lamar Jackson, and I would trade those other two. I may trade Lamar Jackson if I got the right price for him too. But I think that he could probably make a few moves in the middle of the season. If he drafts right, he's probably 2 years away from being something. He might be able to get a couple of players in the bargain. You make these trades mid-season, man, when someone's desperate. You might get a stud and a draft pick, and maybe
especially a team. If you target a team with depth that's missing a specific position like tight end, and they have depth elsewhere at receiver, then yeah, and they're like, all right, we're on the cusp. I just need this one guy.
They'll give you two pieces for the one that can get them over the top.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah. What do you think, Sean, on that?
I think 2 years is probably prime time for him. He's the good thing about lots of first round picks is that he's going to be picking from the prime rib, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he doesn't need all of them to hit. He just needs a couple of them to hit really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
He doesn't need everybody to be RB2. He just needs one of them to be a solid RB1 to take over. And then his RB2 runner-up can be his RB2. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or he could do what Mike suggested in the past. He could even flip one or two of those first for a 23 first and then get the pick of both drafts even, potentially.
Yeah. Now, he's sitting in a good position if he does things right. I think he could be a sleeper next year and then more competitive in that second year.
Yeah.
So
I'm
really interested to see what he does.
Rate My League gave him a overall score of 4.7 out of 10, which puts him at 9.
Okay.
Not 10. 4.07 puts him at 9, not 10.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the next one. The quote is, they are getting up there in age, still prime, but maybe late prime. Talking about their roster.
Run it back.
Yep.
You guys have guessed wrong on run it back like every time. It's like
goofy.
No. Let's give the next quote. In reference, now this one will give it away. Hold on. Now, you know what? Both next quotes will give it away. So I got to tell you, you're both wrong. This was actually Galvanized Blue Steel.
You fucking suck. You can't even pick your own team.
Mr. listened to it twice. Didn't even know what they said about his own team.
I stopped listening at 4.
So
I focused on the others.
The next two quotes were in reference to obtaining Jonathan Taylor. That's good, but it's also criminal mismanagement by the rest of the league to allow this to happen.
Thank you. Thank you.
They didn't know that.
Thank you.
Humpty was going to come in and have a fire sale. We didn't know that. And freaking Ian just took advantage of it. Damn it.
What did I say?
One more quote in reference to a trade ban. You guys have got to learn. Of course, Apple wants to be on top, but that doesn't mean you have to help them.
Yes. Thank you. I like these guys. I'm going to rate these guys and
So this guy was pissed that we all sat idly by while the champ got better. So champ, time to toot your horn.
Whoa. I will not take that terminology on this show.
Toot your horn, that other guy that won the championship.
King of the North. Yeah, no. No, I'm pretty happy with where the team stands right now. I'm obviously always looking to move here and there, but I'm ranked 6th for quarterback, which I think that's criminal. But then I'm 1 for running back, 2 for receiver, and 3 for tight end. So I mean, I'm happy with where my team stands right now. But business is always open, boys. So if you want to talk trade, I'm listening.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to say this one thing, and it's gonna hurt me to the point where I may go into cardiac arrest. So if I just start convulsing and dying on the side, just continue the show without me, okay?
Show must go on.
I think they did kind of give you the bad news bears on your quarterback. I think you could have easily been 4 on quarterback ranking. But you know what? Fuck you. You're already first in running back, 2nd in wide receiver, and 3rd in tight end. You can't be fucking top echelon in every single one. But FNG and Silly Dilly are still out there. They could help you a little bit, I guess. Keep on putting you up in there, you know? Oh, wait. If it's not them, Swamp Dick will give you his best player for okay value for the person to help you get the championship number 2, just so we can freaking listen to you go, oh, I've been back to back. Can't wait.
I don't know. Swamp Dick actually made a good fair trade. I think maybe things are he's not in fire sale mode anymore. So I'd take him out. But I'll never underestimate his ability to exploit Dylan. So I think Dylan's coming around, man. He's a little pissed about that trade now. He's coming around. But we know he was number 1 in the rankings. What was his team score there, Sean?
His team score was 8.62.
All right.
And 4 of those points have come from other teams, just so we all know this. All right. He may have won last year, but he got a real boost in the backside by everybody else.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got one more team to talk about on this show before we stop. So the quote is, if you look at this team, no matter where you go, they still need more help.
Ooh.
That's
Goofy.
Dylan.
That's Dylan. That is Dylan.
Damn it.
Now, they said that was not a great quote for him. They did give him a nice quote here. To get Etienne at 104 and Devontae Smith at 108, I think that's pretty good.
Who said that? That was me. Yes.
Yeah. Well, no, we said that. I said that in the draft show, but they backed us up on that. So
yeah.
The last quote they had on them was, this team needs to figure itself out. So start us off, Ian. Tell us a little bit more about Dylan there.
Yeah, I think we all know, obviously, Dylan was in kind of rebuild mode from early doors last season. So he's sort of down the bottom there around 8 in every position. 8 for quarterback, 9 for running back, 8 for wide receiver, and then 7 for tight end. But I wonder how much that has to do with the fact that he is heavy on rookies.
Yeah.
Now, and the value are going to, until they've really performed, the value is going to be a little lower. I like Etienne. I think he's got like you said the other day, James Robinson's probably gonna be the guy early, and then Etienne will come in down the stretch. So I think that was a good pick, and yeah, he's young. So yeah, I think he knows he's not challenging this year, but he's prepping for the future, and he still has picks. I think he has multiple picks next year as well. So
wait, Who said that? Was that me? That was me, right? You're giving me a compliment?
No,
on the record.
I think it was probably Mike. Mike's the smartest one, isn't he? I think
Mike's the best looking, all right?
What the hell do I get?
Hold it.
I'm not the same. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Well, that's my claim to fame. Take a victory lap around the desk there, Sean. He said something good about you.
Well, I don't care about what he says about me. You can take those 2 rings and boop. But yes, I think Etienne's going to prosper, and he's going to be a pretty darn good running back in Jacksonville. He's going to be a later start, like I've said previous shows. And I think Smith is probably the biggest wild card rookie-wise, because he's going to be leaning on his rookies a lot more than you probably should at rookie. it's all going to be depending on what Philadelphia does. Because, I mean, they just drafted a fantastic wide receiver last year in Rager that had not turned out to be a fantastic wide receiver year one. Now, he might be pretty darn good year two because he's gotten some time under his belt. But Smith is still rookie. He still needs to be taught. The Philadelphia fucking Eagles has not shown that they can teach or coach players to be at the NFL level. It depends on them to make the jump to NFL level. And
yeah, they got that new coaching staff this year, so maybe they'll start to turn things around there. They needed some fresh blood in there, I think. So be interesting to see what they do. I think Dylan's kind of where if he, they got him. Spoiler alert, he's at 10. I'll let you get the team score in a minute, but
2.93, boom.
There you go. So he's at 10, but I don't think he'll finish at 10. I think he's kind of where FNG could be next year. He'll be kind of a sleeper this year if those rookies overachieve.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll be competing moving forward. We'll see what he can do in next year's draft. I think he's on the right track. I think he did good things in the draft. He made good trades to get good positions in the draft, and I think he's on an upward trend, I think. So
yeah, that's a great point, Kamish. That's part one. That's the end of our show. Ian, you fucking suck.